Hi, hello, welcome back. It's Aaron. Funnily enough, 'cause this is my channel. I am here to review the first 4 episodes of the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I got there in the end. So, my friend Lana, girl. My friend Lana has introduced me to Buffy. We're currently like halfway through, or like almost halfway through season 2. It was like somewhere like that. And I didn't want to review the whole season in one go, but I also didn't want to review it an episode at a time. I'm going to try and do episode by episode, but expect it to mingle a lot. So, welcome to the Hellmouth, which is the 2-part opening story. It's all right. It's one of those. Not every show's first episode is like good, and it's not terrible. I think this season as a whole, there's a lot of reliance on the movie, which if you didn't know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, is actually a sequel to the film. But I'm pretty sure like no one who worked on the film did the TV series. I don't even know if Joss Whedon worked on the film and he did the TV series. Buffy's a different person. And they're like, oh, then you burnt the school down. And I'm just like, it's a little bit reliant on you having watched that original movie, and it is interesting that you don't really get to see her become the Slayer. Like, she already knows she's the Slayer, and I'm just like, oh. I'm surprised they didn't just like reboot the idea and just retell the story of the film, but you know, each their own. And the first episode's all right. It introduces you to all the characters well enough, but a dynamic that you see in the first 4 episodes that does get boring after a while when you go throughout the season is the whole sort of love triangle. It's like Xander has a thing for Buffy and Willow has a thing for Xander. Buffy doesn't have a thing for either of them. And I'm on season 2 and it's still like Willow's not really interested in Xander at the moment at the point I'm in the show, but Xander having a crush on Buffy just gets so insufferable so quickly. I'm gonna get into it now. I don't like Xander as a character. I think he's a pretty bad character, and I get that he's meant to be. Like, he's not meant to be, oh, you love him. He's at least meant to be funny. And I personally, at least, he's not too bad in the first 4 episodes, but I don't find him amazingly funny. He's okay. I'll get into my later reviews what I don't like about him in later stories, but he's all right, for the now. Buffy, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, is quite good. Like, she doesn't have a whole load of personality. I think in the first 4 episodes she's fun. She's a fun main character, but she hasn't got a load of personality. I think she gets that more as the series goes on. But I like Sarah Michelle Gellar, and can we just talk about her looks vary from being really good to really bad. Like, you know, when she goes to the bronze at the end of like when she, what part is it? The end of the second episode when she like goes to the bronze to kick ass all the vampires, and she's wearing like a shirt and like her hair up, and it was just like, what is this outfit? But most of the time she looks pretty good. Willow, I think Willow's really adorable. When you first meet her, I just immediately was like, oh, I love her. Because the first, sort of, the opening 2 episodes are introductory. The 4th episode's quite related to Xander, and the 3rd episode is, what's her name, Amy? I think the witch character. Like, that's interesting because it's a bit more about her, and I think Buffy has more of a direct correlation to that story. So at this point, Willow hasn't really had a moment to shine. And the episodes she does get to shine in, I Robot You Jane. Oh, Giles! How could I forget Giles? Anthony Head. What a wonderful, lovely man. He's in the first episode he's really creepy, but I like how he's like kind of the responsible adult of the group. Again, similarly to Willow, because they tend to go like most episodes are like sort of general focus, with a bit more focus towards Buffy because she's the main character, and then every now and then you get like a Giles episode or a Willow episode or a Xander episode. There aren't any Giles episodes in the first 4, which, you know, to be expected. And in the first season, you don't get a lot about him. The second season is a bit more in sort of opening up as to who he is as a character, because you literally don't know anything about him really. I like how nerdy he is. I like how he's got all his books. I like how nobody goes into the library other than the main characters. No one else goes into that library. And I'll go into like the villains, the threats. The Master, he's so funny. He's like the big bad of the season, but I just think he's hilarious. He's kind of like camp. Me and Lana kept making jokes at that sort of the vampire who gets killed at the end of episode 2, the guy who seems like the sort of the leader of the group of vampires who are serving the Master, who like made this whole story up in our minds that they were like gay lovers. It was quite funny. Again, I keep repeating myself. In later episodes, you get to see more about his like personality and his abilities. In this one, he does like a lot of shouting. His voice, I don't know why, it just kills me. The makeup's quite good. And it's interesting that unlike other vampires, he doesn't have like a human form. For the first season, he's a pretty generic big bad. He's just an ancient vampire who's like trapped in the Hellmouth, basically, just trapped underground, and then he spends the whole season trying to escape to our world, basically. And you know, he has funny moments. He's a little bit camp sometimes, and he's, you know, oh, I am the biggest vampire, all that jazz. But he hasn't got an awful lot about him yet. So, Darla, that vampire girl, I guess she's kind of funny. She comes back, again, this is, I guess, a spoiler for a later episode, it's not really. She comes back in a later episode. In this one, she's, I don't know, she just wears like a schoolgirl's uniform and goes about doing her vampire stuff. Obviously the openings with her, I actually think the opening's really cool because you obviously assume that the guy is the vampire, it turns out to be the girl. That was, especially for the first episode, that was probably the best moment in the whole episode. You know, next to like Buffy's kung fu chops. And sometimes when you can clearly see it's a stunt double. I like that the show doesn't just focus on vampires. Obviously, they can't because it would sort of get really boring. But in Teacher's Pet, for example, there's this other vampire character who's going around. He's not the main focus of the story, but he's important to it. I like stuff like that, where the vampires aren't always the biggest threat, but they're usually around. And the vampires are the ones that Buffy looks out for, basically, whenever she's like on a hunt. I need to pick hair that's out of my face, because this is getting ridiculous. The she-mantis in episode 4. Of the 4 episodes, Teacher's Pet is the worst. The she-mantis idea is cool. I think how it looks doesn't look too bad considering the time period it came out and the fact it was a brand new show. Like the way the mantis looks. Miss French is kind of a funny... I don't know why I found her amusing. I find most characters in Buffy amusing because it's not a very serious program. Like, up until the final 2 episodes, there really aren't very many serious moments. She's like this giant mantis that looks like she's supposed to be a human and mates with young men. Obviously Xander gets the hots for her, and it's the first of many times where Xander is in love with Buffy, then all of a sudden finds a girl better than her, and as soon as that girl's out of the picture, all of a sudden he's back to being in love with Buffy. But of course, when she has someone to be with, all of a sudden he loses his marbles. I'm gonna lose my marbles! Which is a boring title, but it's the best of the 4 episodes. They did the whole witch idea really well, I personally thought. I liked the whole switcheroo, because I really did think it was like Amy and then her mother was the one trapped, but I liked the whole idea that it was the mum switched bodies so she could like relive her youth because she thought her daughter wasn't using it to the best of her potential. I will say of all the episodes, it's the one where like you're telling me no one remembers when people's mouths, eyes and things were like just going missing? You're telling me no one remembers that? No one? Okay. It was also a pretty good fight. It was cool seeing Buffy and Amy, well, the Amy, go head to head. And the ending, I guess, is kind of poetic. That this whole time she's like, oh, I need to win these cheerleading trophies, so I have to be the best, and then she ends up trapped in a cheerleading trophy for the rest of time, I guess. Oh, Cordelia, I forgot Cordelia. She's not, in the first season, it makes no sense for her to be, like, in the main titles as a main character. I think the first 4 episodes it does. She's in Welcome to Hellmouth a lot, being her bitchy self. She's in Witch quite a bit. I can't remember if she's in Teacher's Pet. That's 3 out of 4. But she's not that consistent for the rest of the season. But she's a 2-dimensional person you just like. She's annoying. She's the mean girl. You know, that's who she is. I guess that's it, basically. The thing is, apart from which I like the whole cheerleading theme, Teacher's Pet is mostly about Xander being blind to the fact that the teacher he has hots on is a giant insect. You know, these episodes aren't super interesting. I think the only one I'm going to super remember is Witch from this set of 4. Uh, so, yeah. So, yeah, another short review. I'm doing like shorter videos now. Apart, because I did my Doctor Who and RuPaul's Drag Race ones, and like my Netflix reviews of whole seasons, like tend to be quite long. So I'm doing like my classic Doctor Who reviews, and these are a little bit shorter. So it's a bit of more of a mix. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the makeup. And I hope you come back. If you didn't like this video, I'm really sorry. I'm really